Judy, can you lead us in the salute to the flag, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice requirements of the New Jersey House of Women's Law have been satisfied by following a news release to the Hackberry Park Press on December 20th, 2014, stating that a regular meeting of the ToCN Township Committee will be held on October 28th, 2015, at 7:30 p.m. in Town Hall. The notice requirements have been posted on the Township website, and a copy is on file in the office of the Township Clerk.
Thank you, Beth. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orgo,
Here.
Committeeman Engel,
Here.
Committeeman Macnow,
Here.
Committeeman Fitzgerald,
Here.
Mayor Shatson.
Here, good evening. Item number 1 is approval of minutes from meeting October 15, 2015. Any additions or corrections? Second, please. Second. Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orgo,
Yes.
Committeeman Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mayor Macnow,
Yes.
Mayor Shatson.
Yes. Item 2 is a proclamation declaring November 13, 2015 as World Panic say it again.
Pancreatic?
Cancer Day in the town of Colston. Thank you. Pancreatic. Great. That was my anatomy and physiology class. Whereas in 2015, an estimated 48,960 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the United States, and 40,560 will die from the disease. Whereas pancreatic cancer is one of the deadliest cancers, and is the only major cancer with a 5-year relative survival rate in the single digits at just 7%. Whereas there will be an estimated 367,000 new pancreatic cancer cases diagnosed globally in 2015, and whereas the good health and well-being of the residents of the Township of Colts Neck are enhanced as a direct result of increased awareness and research into early detection, causes, and effective treatment. Now, therefore, I, James C. Schatz, Mayor of the Township of Colts Neck, along with my fellow Township Committee, designate November 13, 2015 as World Pancreatic Cancer Day within the Township of Colts Neck. I have an addition to tonight's agenda, so we'll call that 2.5, confirming interim appointment of municipal judge. So let me give you a little background, is that we have an opening that we need to fill on an interim basis for a municipal court judge. Tonight we have our court administrator, Kathy Braddock, here. We've been in communication since Friday afternoon and all weekend. I've been in communication with my fellow township committeemen and our administrator and our clerk on this issue. Kathy made sure that we were immediately covered by some covering judges, so our police department had access to them 24/7 as they always do, and we have coverage moving forward. With that, we sought out our experts in the field of municipal judges, and we're very happy to have with us tonight the person that we're going to appoint, which is Nicole Soddenblink. Nicole resides in Monmouth County. Her husband Peter's here, which we're grateful to be here tonight. They have 2 twin children, which is wonderful. Right now, Nicole also presides as judge in Freehold Township, Millstone, and Seabright. She has extensive experience both as a prosecutor and a judge, and we feel very fortunate to have her join our family in Colts Neck. So I wanted to introduce you and welcome you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
So with that, I would like a motion to move my recommendation.
So moved. Second.
And with that, a roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orgo,
Yes.
Committeeman Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Mayor Macnow,
Yes.
Mayor Shatson.
Yes. So what we're, I know you've already spoken with Kathy. You can continue that conversation, and I'm sure that we'll be talking the next day or so as well. Anything you'd like to add that maybe I left out?
I just want to thank you all for your support. I'm honored to be here in Colts Neck. I'm a lifelong resident of the next door neighbor, now been and it is my honor and pleasure, and I promise to represent you very well in full sense.
Excellent, well said.
Mayor,
Yes.
I appreciate Judge Sundliff's coming to our aid in this difficult situation. We have a little bit of inside baseball because we've spent way too much time since last Friday suffering this difficulty. Maybe you want to take a minute to explain to the public why we're in this bit of a difficult situation, because I'm not sure everyone knows that.
Sure. So judges get appointed a 3-year term. We've had the same municipal judge in the township of Colts Neck for quite some time, the Honorable Richard Thompson. I did receive a call from Judge Thornton, the assignment judge from Monmouth County Court. There is a suspension that was put in place. There was an order that I received that was effective immediately on Friday. That set the wheels in motion to go ahead and get coverage, which Kathy did an excellent job at, and then brought us to tonight. There will be a process that the Monmouth County Court will go through with the suspension, and that's why it's an interim position and not a replacement at this point. And we will see that, I was told by the assignment judge that process will probably be lengthy. That was the description that we had. So that's where we're at.
We could also thank Judge Jim Ruby from Little Silver, who, from the unfortunate order was entered on 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon at 4:01. He stepped in on behalf of Colts Neck to take phone calls as necessary through this difficult time. So we owe him a bit of gratitude as well. But again, welcome, Judge Sandler. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Okay. Judge Peter? Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, that's going to happen in the court, so thank you. Item number 3, ordinance 2015-15, ordinance amending and revising chapter 213, towing of the code of Township of Colts Neck. This is second reading by title. I think Deputy Mayor has a few comments on this.
Well, the last time we raised it about the 2 miles, but Brannigan's is within the 2 miles as a crow flies, so everything's right with that. It's the same as before. The only thing we brought up was we wanted only 2 towing facilities out of 1 yard, not 3 or 4, just because they got different company names.
Agree with that.
And other than that, that's it.
Good. Other comments from committee? Great. With that, I'll open public hearing on the towing ordinance. See no comments, close public hearing, and ask for motion to approve with the additions from Deputy Mayor Orgo.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Orga?
Yes.
Commissioner Nicol?
Yes.
Commissioner Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Commissioner McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Shaston?
Yes. Item number 4 is discussion. For several years now, I'm trying to think how many, probably 5 or so, one of the activities that's taking place somewhere in the boundaries of Colts Neck has been something referred to as Rock Fest. They're already planning for 2016, and they're requesting us to consider a schedule slightly different. So for a while there was a single day. This year they tried Saturday and Sunday, and now they're asking for us to consider scheduling Friday, September 23rd from 6 to 10:30. So obviously before the parks, they can rent until 11, or anybody that uses the park and the community center to 11, so before that, and Saturday, September 24th, and more all-day event from 11 to 10:30. Any input? I'm sure they want to start their planning.
Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, it's instead of being formerly Saturday and Sunday, it's now Friday and Saturday.
To clarify, formally 1 day, then 2 days.
Yeah, that's it.
Then 2 more days.
And
So what is the fire?
that's what I said.
Why do we have to decide this
Because
quickly?
they're planning to have fireworks. And I think that's something we really got to sit down and talk about.
Is this just something they want to put on the calendar?
Sure. So what I'd like to do is make a suggestion to go ahead and give this to the Recreation Committee, our Recreation Director, and our liaison to the Recreation, and bring back where they're at with that.
Just go through all the same protocols?
Yeah, and also, I attended the 1 day this year as I have in the past, but I think we also need to know from a practicality standpoint how things went this year, and I think we need a report from Rec on that, just to make sure that we're not going to authorize something that's been
I just think we're asking for trouble. So you've got people leaving here that be drinking and everything else like that. It should be more controlled.
Well, that's true of any event that you have on public property, and I think that's the overarching question and policy that we don't have, that we need to have.
And also understand what happens at the event. So if they're going to have vendors come in, especially if the food vendors, how does it impact our health officer?
Well, this thing has morphed into raising a lot of these questions, and they don't have the answers, and that concerns me. But I don't, they're wanting to make plans a year ahead of time, and I appreciate that, that's great, but that's not gonna force me to make a
It
decision.
involves multiple departments as we start to talk this through.
I mean, sure. If it's gonna be a for-profit thing, I mean, why should we take it on the cut for $100 to $200 for fee?
It wasn't for profit. And they paid
So,
fees. The fire department got the money.
Mr. Mayor, you suggested a table.
Sure, I think, or just bring it back to recreation, have our liaison report back to us the next meeting.
The liaison is gonna be there for another month and a half.
Well, and somebody's going to follow up on that.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
So, great, thank you, Judy. That brings us to item number 5, administrative report.
Yes, a couple of follow-ups. As you know, we had the shredding event this past, actually Saturday, October 17th. It was quite successful. We got a very nice letter from Monroe County Public Works Department, Stuart Newman, thanking the participants from Holmes Neck that helped put that event on, specifically Jean Rossetti, Mike Sheed, Greg Sabo of the Public Works Department, and Sergeant Brian Caswell from the Police Department, Beth Kara here in our office, as well as the fire and police. The event raised 5.9 tons of paper, which is credited to the township of Holmes Neck. So I think all in all, everything went smooth and it was a good thing. Secondly, JCP&L is putting out warnings to Holmes Neck residents in connection with utility scam. So just residents be aware if they do get scam calls from someone representing themselves as a utility company collecting past dues amount to follow the JCP&L because it is not them. Third item, DOT grant application for 5 Point Road, which was passed, the resolution passed approving the submission of that application. It has been submitted by our township engineer. In addition to that, we've received word from Mayor Gatto of Howell Township voicing support for the application and the submission of that to the grant committee. And although I understand it's a long process, I think this will be moving in the right direction. And finally, Halloween is right around the corner. So just a reminder in terms of the curfew for all residents and non-residents 17 years and under. That curfew is from 9 p.m. To 5 a.m. Thursday, October 29th through November 1st. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. So we'll start township committee reports. Jared, anything tonight? No, I'm sorry, thank you. Motion to approve the vouchers, Michael.
I did go through the vouchers, I apologize about the total away from me, because it was disorganized. But,
$2,910,565.20.
thank you, everything appeared in order, I would ask for approval of those.
Need a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Motion, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Overville,
Yes.
Commander Engel,
Yes.
Commander Fitzgerald,
Yes.
Commander McEnroe,
Yes, except to abstain, please.
Mayor Schaefer.
Yes, it's up to the same, continue that.
No reports tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Michael,
Similarly,
Russell,
Actually. First of all, Mr. Sorter asked me last time to provide some information regarding unused capital funds. I have a printout for you.
Great.
I want the minutes to reflect that. I do have it. Yeah, most of it I think is self-explanatory. Any specific questions you could direct to Mr. Antonides. He can give you quick explanations for anything that that's not self-explanatory.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think it was you, Judy, mentioned last time about deer, and so I did remember to bring my printouts this time around. And, again, for what it's worth, the motor vehicle accidents involving deers, at least those that have been reported to the police department, are down relatively significantly this year for September and into October. And even the deer incidents itself, injured deer, still a fair amount of them, but even that are down somewhat. Now, again, Can we say for sure that it's attributable to the amended ordinance that we passed? I can't, but you're welcome to look at the numbers and the printouts. It does seem to be a reduction. Again, we're going by reported accidents. We know there are a lot of unreported accidents because we see dead deer on the side of the road that have presumably been hit by cars that maybe just don't get reported. But the numbers are down quite a bit. So,
Thank you.
the library, Friends of the Library had their art show this past couple of weekends. I don't have a full report on that yet. I'll report back to you on the next meeting on that. And I think that's it for me.
Great, thank you. Tommy?
No committees I have. The only thing is, be careful with these deer because now's the time to play from now till second week of December. They're out there in any hour of the day, night, or anything. And there's more and more deer crossing during the daytime, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, than there is, it seems like even at night. So just keep an eye on them.
Thank you. The only report I have is that on a national level, each year there's a National Volunteer Day, and I thought it would be important to talk a little about that and the importance of volunteers within the township of Cold Snack. So many times every individual at this table at one time or another says something about how wonderful the volunteers that we have in town, either it be on the first aid squad, the fire department, the Friends of the Library, the Board of Health, Zoning Board, Planning Board. We can just go on and on about how our base in Cold Snack and how Cold Snack is Cold Snack is because of our volunteer system. So we need to continuously add to those volunteer ranks. Because one of the things that happens, just take me for example, I was brought up by a mom who instilled in me very early on that you need to get back to your community. How I chose to do that as a teenager was through the first aid squad, and to the point where it actually guided my career a little bit. From there, when I got a little older, I was able to join the fire department, and I had just years and years of extreme activity there because that was my lifestyle to be able to do that. As a 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old, there's a lot more flexibility in your schedules. So we'll always look for that next generation to come in because it's so important for that. But really bonding with those two organizations in particular, I've always been able to stay with my affiliation with both of them. And there's something in each of their constitutions that eventually with a certain amount of years of service you become a life member. So that's the importance of volunteering in town. And what it's done for me, and even brought me probably to this table with their guidance and activity level there. Of course, as life changes and why we need more volunteers is because when I had 2 children, I have more responsibilities and less time. You're not able to respond maybe to the number of calls you have in the past. But when you get to a certain point in an organization, you give what you can. So if I'm able to give anything, being a training here or there to one, or attending even a social function, just encouraging and being a good spokesperson for an organization, I'm really happy to do that. And you know what also happens, that I've seen this with members, is kids get older, right? Now kids are out more, and you have more time, and then suddenly maybe you're able to give more hours. But my heart is always there, and I've seen this kind of up and down with activity with many members on both of those organizations. So the importance, especially with those 2 that I just mentioned, is because of that. So if you know anybody, yourself in particular maybe, that maybe can volunteer and give some of your hours for that, it's just a wonderful way to give back to your town. So I just wanted to bring that up. I think it's always important to recognize those volunteers. With that, I will open up to public comments. Mrs. Amon.
Along with that acknowledgement of the volunteers, I did run a story on recruiting firemen in Cold Snack on the front page of my
Yes.
country press.
Thank you.
But more important than that, and I've covered Glencroft and Homedale as well, but I was speaking with Dennis Fowler, who is a past president.
Very nice gentleman, yes.
And he said at the last convention that he was at, that he looked into a program called Recruit and Retention. It's a paid program, and they're going to launch it, I think, in January. Because in a town like Colts Neck, you don't have very many young guys and young families. If they're living in palaces, they're not volunteering for the fire company. And so whatever can be done, and we're talking not just firemen, but firewomen. Lincroft had a firewoman, or we don't call them firemen or firewomen, we call them firefighters. And so I will do what I can, but I suggest that you look into recruit and retention, and Dennis Fowler might be able to help you.
Thank you.
I want to speak about something else, which is partly this Rocket Fest 2016. Some of these groups they sprung from a want to do something, but now they're using our property and they're covered by our insurance. We don't get, and our public works people. I think that these groups need to have a board of directors at least, or whatever you want to call it, of at least 5 people. Because, and they, for example, Harvest Fest was a paid event that went through recreation, and the Cole Brothers Circus was also through recreation. And so I think we need a little more control over the financing and also the security and the costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy?
I'm on the recreation committee, and many of these groups that come in from out of town, they have to have their own insurance. And they also pay a fee to the recreation committee, to the township, for the use of the park, to cover the public works and any use of the facility. It's not like we let everybody come in and they can do whatever they want, and we don't have any control over them.
Thank you.
How much do they pay?
I'm not sure what the amount
Okay,
is.
thank you.
The only people that get the parks free are the township organizations.
Good. Other comments? Jeff?
Thanks, James. Jeff Sauter, 41 Ann Street. Just to elaborate on your points there on the volunteers, I think that's a very good point that I think you can drive home to many citizens and organizations and how to get that word out. Because not only, that allows us, the town, and the taxpayers of this town to save, as you would know, a significant amount of money if we went to a paid first aid or paid fire department, and as well as maybe some of the other organizations that volunteer and people that give a lot of their time that make this town obviously what it is, and save, again, significantly in that. With respect to the capital funds report, Russell, that you put out, thank you very much for preparing that and getting that out. Without me looking at it, was anything there of concern to you that looked really old that was maybe sitting out there?
I mean, the biggest bulk of it you can see on there are COLA funds, which are a totally separate category. That's a dedicated fund. We don't have control over that other than to the extent that we're using it for COLA. So you'll see that, those figures. There are some other figures. Most of, I think, what you're going to see are situations in which the estimated cost for the purchase, like one was definitely the fire truck that we purchased a few years back, that pumper for number 2. I think they must have saved about, I think the number was 53,000, I could be off a little bit. You'll see that on there. They saved the money. So that money is sitting there, and hopefully at some future point in time when we go, as we do, I think we have done in the past, when we go to purchase another piece of fire equipment or something related to that, we'll apply those funds toward that purchase. That's the only other one that really stands out in my mind. But again, I went to Mr. Antonides, and that's where I got the information from, obviously. And as far as any specific explanations, he's definitely the best one to give them. But I think you're going to see most of them are self-explanatory.
Okay, I was just curious to see how you interpreted it too.
I mean, look, sometimes you allocate a certain amount of money for something, and you wind up saving money, and, you can't be critical of somebody for saving money on something, but yes, it shows up in that report as being unused capital funds.
Yeah, I mean, we as the public don't normally get to see all that, and you guys, I think, do, and I just want to make sure you guys are engaged in looking at this to
Yeah,
make
but
sure.
just to be clear, these types of reports are always available to the public. This is information, and I know you're familiar with Oprah, and some other members of the public are as well. This is the type of information that you are certainly free to avail yourself of at any time. I mean, if I could certainly help to facilitate that, I'll do that. In this particular case, I can do that.
Yeah.
But this is information that you're entitled to get, that you're entitled to receive, you're entitled to look at, you're entitled to know where your money is and how it's being spent, and in this particular case, where it's not being spent. So, absolutely, the questions are valid, the concerns are valid, and if there's something specific after you digest it, and you want to come back and say, okay, I have a problem with this, why is this money being spent? I think it should have been spent. I think that's a valid question, and it's something that you're entitled to address.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up, exactly that point, because, you repurposed, I don't know, $12,000, $11,000. That was, 5, 6 years
The
old.
tennis court versus the basketball court issue, yeah,
Exactly. So that just
so those
kind of
kinds of
brought it
things,
up.
I think, are issues which are, they're valid. From a public expenditure funds perspective, you should, certainly I do, as a taxpayer, like to know where my money's getting spent. I'm more intimately involved with it because I'm here, but if you're on the outside looking in and you want to see where your money's getting spent, go look at where your money's being spent. I mean, I hate to say there should be no surprises, but there should be no surprises. You should know where your money's being spent.
Absolutely, and that's why, one of the reasons why I wanted you to kind of report in a public rather than just me privately, so the public can hear and understand, and maybe, like you're just saying now, maybe get more engaged into understanding where the tax dollars are going.
Yeah,
So,
no doubt.
okay, thank you. In reference to this year's capital funds, I believe there was like 3.2 set aside for roads, and I know some issue that suddenly popped up out of the blue with the police station. Have we got any progress in that area?
Yeah, so the issue with regard to the police station kind of is a twofold issue. And I don't remember how much detail I went into this in the past. The first issue is an ADA issue. We have some ADA obligations, Americans with Disabilities Act requirements that we have to fulfill as far as making that building handicap accessible. So that's something that we absolutely have to do. And obviously we have to have the funds to pay for that. But secondarily, in the process of looking at those ADA mandated upgrades, we looked at the physical plant of that building, which I've talked about over the last couple of meetings. And again, for those of us that have been in that building, we know it is not in terribly good shape on a number of different levels, and I mean that both literally and figuratively. The basement's awful. We've had multiple incidents of water infiltration. It's always damp and musty and moldy. That's where our locker rooms have to be for the police officers. And on the upstairs, if you look around, there's been incidents of water infiltration there. The utility of the building is not terrific. So what we've been looking at, using an architect over the last couple of months, are some ways to address both the mandated problem, the ADA problem, and the more practical problem, which is the utility of the building within our financial needs. And I think I told you last time, we had a meeting last month. We had a follow-up meeting today with the architect, and we're not quite there yet. We want to look at numbers and what numbers make most sense, because we're talking about potential expenditures exceeding $1 million. As I think Committeeman Fitzgerald pointed out, to me, before we go out and spend that kind of money, we really want to have the best possible proposal to put before the taxpayers of the town. And again, the proposal that really accomplished, I think, 3 goals. One, addressing what we have to address, the ADA concern, addressing the physical plant issues with the police department building itself, and also living within our financial needs. And that's what we're trying to do. And as you mentioned, we have a bond allocation this year, which we originally were dedicating exclusively for roads. But because of these other issues that have arisen, kind of held off on that, because there's a possibility, although we're not certain of it yet, that we may use some of those funds to do what we have to do with that building. And I think, again, I mentioned this last time, as a practical matter, the roads are not going to get done in the winter anyhow. They won't get done until the spring. So I don't think at this point we're losing any time from that. From that perspective, we can always go out to bid and be ready to go in the spring for the roads. We hope to have, we're moving as quickly as we can on the building without being impulsive or impetuous on making a decision. We don't want to do that. We want to have something to put before you when we tell you that we're going to spend $1 million or however much money of your money, and my money. We want to be in the best position to make a good recommendation to the public as to what we're going to do, and we're just not quite there yet. We've had a couple of meetings. I think we need some more time. We need to look at some financial issues with our chief financial officer, and hopefully within the next month-ish, hopefully we'll be in a position to report back to the public.
You know, as you indicated, we lost the window to do the roads already, obviously.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, probably when you had Ed Thompson come in, and I think the town engineer came in, they sat before you, I think that was maybe April, maybe May. You know, I still think there could have been time, you know, to make, you know, because you guys are, you know, really milling it over and deciding, and I think, and finally make some good progress on some roads, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, comes the police station issues.
Well, it wasn't so much that. We had an ADA complaint made about that time, and that engendered our looking at the police station. So, I mean, it's not that it just occurred to us. There was a specific event that triggered the looking at the police department. That was an ADA complaint, and we had to address the ADA complaint. And it just happened to be around the same time frame. I don't remember the exact time, to be honest with you, but it was around the same general time. So we kind of put the brakes on the roads while we were examining that issue, because we knew we were going to have to spend money that we did not anticipate. We didn't budget for this year, obviously. And it wasn't going to be, we got initial numbers on it. The initial numbers were over $100,000 just for the ADA issue, just to comply. And we didn't have that money budgeted, so we would have to come up with the money somewhere, and that bond ordinance was the logical place. And then, yes, it kind of morphed into a little bit more than that. We started looking at, well, if we're going to do all this work on the building anyway, should we start looking at addressing some of these other issues that we have with this 50, 60-year-old building that really needs some work. That's how, it wasn't an impulsive thing. It wasn't meant to be, to put off the roads. It just happened to play out that way. And like I said, we have to do the ADA stuff, and we have to find the money to do it. So even if we did nothing to the police station, as far as the physical plant, we have to spend the money on the ADA compliance.
Yeah, no, it's very plausible what you said, and that absolutely makes sense, and I think that was the right move. To me initially, and maybe to other members of the public, it was initially like, you know, why wouldn't, you know about these physical plant issues and ADA possible issues well before, you know, this whole process started. But, you know, I can understand if it popped up under a complaint and then you wanted to roll something else into it. Since we're looking at it, we're making some changes. That's all very plausible.
That's exactly the way to play it.
Okay, that's good. And then,
Truth be told, sorry to interrupt, Mr. Sauter, but truth be told, the chief, your brother, has asked for improvements in the physical plant every year within the capital budget for as long as I've been sitting here for the last 6 years. So that is no surprise. I think what requires some attention from this committee is when the United States Department of Justice sends you a letter telling you they're going to sue you if you don't do something, that requires attention. We're attending to that.
Yeah, that's basically what
absolutely, that's what you got to do. Okay. One other thing too, on the best practices that you passed, I think it was last meeting, because you had to get that in under some time constraints there. It had 50 standards on it, and 6 were no on that report. So you got an 88%. I mean, you guys, it still passed, and it shows that, you know, funding is not going to be jeopardized from the state or anything like that for it. But do you, and I'm not just talking to you, Russell, or anyone on the committee, of those 6 no's, does anyone have any concerns with any of those 6 no's that you might want to try to make them a yes next year, or, you know, you're looking into it, and, you know, any comments on that?
Not for the township full center.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Sorry, Alan.
Go ahead.
I'll give you a second, swing in a second. This is Amy.
Go ahead.
The gentleman yields his time.
I would like to know what the ADA requirements are that we're talking about that are necessary for the police station.
Access.
I mean, I know what ADA compliance is.
Sure, it's access.
We do have it. I mean, I don't know if we have it in front of us right now, but we do have it. It's a ramp, bell,
Goes through the courtroom. They won't have fun.
yeah.
So our handicap entrance is on the side right now. They would rather have it in front.
But it was more than that. It was more than that. I don't, we have it. Just,
We have that ramp that was put, that Bob had put behind the
This one?
courthouse, right? Is
No, the
that one-
courthouse.
Is that one, not the courthouse, excuse me, town hall. Is it that kind of ramp that we're going to put behind the police station or in front of the court?
The same function, but not the same ramp.
no, it would be a regular ramp.
It's not clear to me.
It won't be a ramp like that because it's a different building. So we're getting an architect and an engineer to look to see what we need under their requirements to get that ADA compliant.
It'll be made of concrete before.
Yeah, it'd be a regular ramp.
But it could be a ramp like we have behind the town hall.
You mean the
That's compliant.
same components? No, no.
But you gotta come into the back door.
Yeah, we need to come into the back door.
We have to come into the front.
I do all the time.
We will be ADA compliant. That's the only thing I can absolutely assure you with, it will be compliant.
But what other enhancements are we looking at?
For ADA or the building?
Not for ADA, for the building.
No real
We need
enhancements.
some separate charges.
Are you expanding?
No.
No.
It's under, we're looking at it right now. We don't have a full report, so we will have a full report, obviously, before anything is put out to bid.
And
I
the
do-
full
I have a
report will
question.
come from,
I'm sorry,
From this
and
committee.
the full report will come from.
at a township committee meeting.
One of the things we have to be careful of is, and the reason these things are properly discussed in closed session, is you don't want rumors to start that are not accurate.
Well, then get out here.
But we don't know it yet, so I can't.
Just one second.
Yeah.
I didn't interrupt you, I would ask you not to interrupt me.
Okay.
I would say that almost everything is being considered, whether it's a small addition or a large addition or whatever, but I don't want there to be any intimation that even a decision has been made about anything other than addressing the ADA Department of Justice threat and lawsuit. And I think that should be the end of the discussion, because it's exactly how rumors start and problems start in this area as in others.
Alan?
Thank you for the recognition to the volunteers.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Debbie?
Did the ADA complaint only refer to the police department or other public buildings?
Just the police department. /court.
Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, I'll close it and end with resolution 2015-127, executive sessions. Motion to go in? All in favor? Okay, thank you.